Mama is gravely ill, so I ventured to trade my playthings to afford her treatment. What the company head did next astonished all. Before we proceed, your support is deeply valued. Greet us and mention your location if you feel like it. The dawn. Light stretched long silhouettes over the flawless stone steps of Hamilton Enterprises, where 7-year-old Lily gripped a tattered shopping sack stuffed with her dearest treasures. Her small hands shook as she laid out the toys on a worn blue cloth, a patched stuffed rabbit called Mr. Whiskers, her beloved fairy doll with matted locks, and 3 plastic reptiles that once bellowed with electronic noises. "Please, someone purchase something," she murmured softly, her voice nearly lost amid the lively hum of downtown Boston's commercial hub. The young girl's hazel eyes, too solemn for her years, flitted anxiously between the grand glass entrance of the corporate tower and the constant flow of well-dressed workers rushing by. Lily had picked this location with care. Mama always said, wealthy folks worked in the high, gleaming structures, and this was the tallest, most radiant one she could spot. She'd trekked 12 blocks from their cramped flat, hauling the heavy sack and cloth, fueled by a resolve no child should ever know. "My mama is gravely ill," she rehearsed, the words sticking in her throat. "She needs treatment, and I have wonderful toys. Please." Inside the lofty building, Victor Hamilton stood by his corner office window on the 42nd floor, his slate blue eyes skimming financial summaries while his thoughts drifted to the imminent board session. At 53, he led one of the largest development firms in the Northeast, his every choice impacting thousands of workers and millions in profits. The burden of duty rested on his broad frame like a costly coat. Familiar, essential, and sometimes stifling. A stir far below drew his gaze. Through the floor-to-ceiling glass, he noticed something odd on the steps of his tower. A small figure in a faded green frock sat alone amid what seemed to be playthings. Victor frowned, reaching for his desk phone to summon security. But something halted him. The child, for he could now see it was indeed a child, was earnestly addressing every passerby, displaying items with an urgency that was tangible, even from 42 floors above. Most people sped by without pausing, though a few stopped briefly before shaking their heads and moving on. Victor set down the phone and grabbed his coat. "Clara, postpone my tenure," he called to his aide as he strode toward the lift. "I'll return soon." The descent felt endless. Victor found himself reflecting on his own daughter, safely enrolled in her elite academy across town, her greatest concern being which hobbies to pick for summer camp. The contrast struck him as the elevator chimed softly at the ground floor. Lily looked up as polished brown shoes paused directly before her cloth. Her eyes traced up fine navy trousers, past a crisp gray shirt and silk tie, landing on the face of a man who seemed like he stepped from a film. Serious but not harsh, with silvering hair and eyes that seemed to perceive everything. "Hello there," Victor said, his tone softer than Lily had anticipated from someone so formidable. "I'm Victor. What's your name?" "Lily," she answered, her voice just above a whisper. Then, recalling her purpose, she squared her shoulders with poignant resolve. "Would you like to buy a toy? They're really fine toys, and I only need enough for my mama's treatment." The words struck Victor like a physical jolt. He knelt slowly, leveling himself with Lily's gaze, his costly suit forgotten as his knees met the pavement. "Tell me about your mama, Lily." The words poured from the little girl like a rushing stream through a broken barrier. How Mama had been coughing for weeks, too weary to clean the grand offices anymore. How the free clinic's medicine wasn't helping, and the doctor said they needed stronger medicine that cost more than they had. The doctor said it might make her well. Lily finished, holding up Mr. Whiskers with heartbreaking hope. "This rabbit is very special. He used to sing, but his batteries stopped. Maybe your little girl would like him." Victor felt something fracture in his heart, a place he'd kept tightly guarded since his divorce 3 years prior. This wasn't just about medicine or funds. This was about a child ready to give up all she cherished for a chance to save her mother. "Lily, he said gently. I'd like to help you and your mama, but first, I need you to tell me where you live. The girl's face clouded with hesitation. Mama had always cautioned her about strangers, especially men, but something in this man's eyes, a sorrow that echoed her own, a sincerity her 7-year-old instincts deemed genuine, reassured her. As Lily shared her address, neither she nor Victor could have foreseen that this moment would unravel a 20-year-old mystery that would transform their lives forever. Victor stared at the crumpled note in his hand, his pulse racing as he read the address Lily had neatly scrawled in marker. 1247 Elm Street, Apartment 3B. The numbers blurred before his eyes as memories buried for 20 years surged back. Elm Street. He knew that street. Lily, dear, he said, his voice strangely tight. What's your mama's full name? Sofia Martinez, Lily replied proudly. She's the best mama in the whole world. She cleans offices at night so she can care for me during the day. But now she's too sick to work. Sofia Martinez. The name hit Victor like a thunderbolt. 20 years ago, there had been another Sofia on Elm Street. A young woman with sparkling eyes and dreams of becoming a nurse. A woman he'd loved fiercely and lost through his own foolish arrogance. Lily, I'm going to help you, Victor said, his mind racing. But first, I need to speak with your mama. Is she home now? Lily nodded eagerly. She's resting. She rests a lot now because the medicine makes her tired, but she'd want to meet you. She always says, good people are out there, even when times are tough. Victor carefully helped Lily pack her toys, his hands trembling slightly as he folded the small cloth. As they walked to his car, he caught his reflection in the buildings, glass doors, a successful tycoon worth hundreds of millions. But inside, he felt like the 25-year-old who'd made the gravest mistake of his life. The drive to Elm Street would take 20 minutes. 20 minutes to brace for a meeting that might shatter or redeem him. As Lily chattered excitedly in the back seat about all the things she wanted to buy for her mama once she sold her toys, Victor gripped the steering wheel and prayed he was mistaken about what he was beginning to suspect. Sofia Martinez lay in the narrow bed, her once vibrant face now pale and drawn from weeks of illness. At 38, she still possessed the gentle beauty that had once captivated a young Victor Hamilton. Though years of hard work and single motherhood had etched lines of resolve around her dark eyes, the sound of footsteps in the hallway made her struggle to sit up. Lily's voice floated through the thin apartment walls, unusually animated and accompanied by deeper tones that made Sofia's heart skip with an inexplicable sense of familiarity. Mama, Mama, I sold my toys. Lily burst through the door, her face glowing with triumph. This kind man helped me, and he wants to talk to you. Sofia's world tilted as Victor Hamilton stepped into her modest living room. 20 years vanished in an instant. The same strong jaw, the same piercing blue eyes that had once vowed forever, the same way he unconsciously ran his hand through his hair when nervous. Hello, Sofia, Victor said softly, his voice heavy with 2 decades of regret. Victor, she whispered, pulling Lily close protectively. What are you doing here? Lily looked between the 2 adults, confusion clouding her young features. Do you know each other, Mama? He's going to help us buy your medicine. Sofia's eyes filled with tears, not of joy, but of fear. The secret she'd guarded for 7 years, the truth she'd sworn to take to her grave, suddenly felt impossibly heavy. Lily, sweetheart, Sofia said carefully, why don't you go wash your hands and change clothes? The grown-ups need to talk. As Lily reluctantly left the room, Victor sat heavily in the room's single chair, his costly suit oddly out of place in the sparse apartment. Sofia, I had no idea you were… He trailed off, holding up the paper with shaking hands. You thought I was gone. Sofia finished quietly. The car accident 20 years ago had been catastrophic. Sofia's family killed instantly, herself barely surviving with amnesia that lasted months. By the time her memories returned, Victor had already married someone else. someone from his affluent social circle who could give him the life his family expected. "I searched for you," Victor said desperately. "When I heard about the accident, I went to the hospital, but they said there were no survivors. How could they have gotten it so wrong?" Sofia's laugh was bitter. "They didn't get it wrong, Victor. Sofia Gonzalez died in that accident. Sofia Martinez was born in that hospital bed with no family, no past, and no reason to contact the man who'd moved on so completely. But there was something else. Something that made Sofia's hands tremble as she watched Victor grapple with the revelation. Something that made Lily's bright eyes and stubborn chin suddenly seem less like coincidence and more like fate. Victor spent the next 3 days unable to focus on anything but Sofia and Lily. He'd insisted on funding Sofia's medical care immediately, calling in favors with the city's top doctors. But Sofia had accepted his help with a distant courtesy that broke his heart. Now, sitting in his office at midnight, he stared at a photograph on his desk. His daughter Amelia at Lily's age, 7 years old, with pigtails and a gap-toothed smile. Amelia, who lived with her mother in California and visited twice a year, their relationship strained by distance and his own emotional reserve. The similarities between Amelia and Lily were striking. But what haunted Victor was something deeper. Lily's fierce resolve, her way of tilting her head when thinking, the stubborn set of her jaw when determined. These weren't traits she could have inherited from Sofia. His intercom buzzed. "Mr. Hamilton, there's a Sofia Martinez here to see you. She says it's urgent." Victor's heart leaped. "Send her up immediately." Sofia appeared in his doorway, looking stronger than she had in days, the new medication already working its magic. But her eyes held a resolve that made Victor's stomach clench with anticipation. "We need to talk," she said, closing the door behind her. "About Lily. About why I never contacted you after the accident. Sofia, whatever happened between us, I want you to know—" "Victor, stop." She held up her hand, her voice trembling. "Before you say anything else, before you make any more generous offers or promises, you need to know the truth." She moved to his window, gazing at the city lights as if drawing strength from their glow. "The accident happened 3 weeks after I found out I was pregnant." The words hit Victor like a blow. He sank into his chair, his mind reeling as pieces of a puzzle he hadn't known existed began falling into place. "When I woke up in that hospital, I had no memory of our relationship, of the pregnancy, of anything. It wasn't until months later that my memories returned. And by then—" She turned to face him, tears streaming down her face. "You were married. Your wedding announcement was in the society pages. I was a cleaner's daughter with no family, no money, and no right to ruin your perfect new life. But Lily," Victor whispered. "How old is she exactly?" "She turned 7 last month, Victor. 7 years and 9 months since the accident." The calculation was simple, devastating, and undeniable. Victor stared at Sofia as the full weight of her words crashed over him like a tidal wave. Lily wasn't just any child he'd helped on his building steps. Lily was his daughter. The revelation hung between them like a live wire, dangerous and impossible to ignore. Victor sat in stunned silence as Sofia continued, her voice steady, despite the tears flowing down her cheeks. "I've watched you from afar for 7 years, Victor. I've seen your interviews, your success, your other daughter. I convinced myself that Lily and I were better off alone, that we didn't need anything from your world. My other daughter," Victor repeated hollowly. "Amelia doesn't even know she has a sister." Sofia's composure cracked. "Don't you think I know that? Don't you think I've imagined 1,000 times what it would be like for Lily to have a real family, to attend good schools, to never worry about whether there's enough money for food or medicine?" Victor stood abruptly, pacing to the window where Sofia had stood moments before. Below, the city stretched endlessly, full of lives and secrets and missed chances. "Why now, Sofia? Why tell me this now?" Because I'm dying. The words were spoken so softly that for a moment Victor thought he'd imagined them. He spun around to face her, his heart stopping. The doctors ran more tests. Sofia continued, her voice clinical and detached. The infection was just the start. I have cancer, Victor. Advanced pancreatic cancer. The medicine you paid for will ease the symptoms, but it won't cure me. Victor felt the world tilt beneath his feet. How long? 6 months. Maybe less. Sofia's voice broke slightly. I can't care for Lily anymore. I won't be able to work. And even with the best treatment, I won't live to see her 8th birthday. The cruelty of the timing wasn't lost on either of them. After 20 years of separation, of lost opportunities and hidden truths, they'd found each other again, just in time for another farewell. There's more, Sofia said, pulling a small envelope from her purse. I've been saving this for years, waiting for the right moment. I never thought that moment would come. She handed him the envelope with trembling hands. Inside was a birth certificate, Lily's birth certificate, with the father's name listed as unknown. I could have put your name there, Sofia said softly. I could have demanded support, forced you to acknowledge her. But I wanted Lily to be wanted, not obligated. I wanted her to have a father who chose to love her, not one who was trapped into it. Victor stared at the document, his daughter's legal existence reduced to official stamps and medical details. What do you want from me, Sofia? What do you need? I want you to get to know her, Sofia said. I want you to love her the way she deserves to be loved. And when I'm gone, her voice broke completely. When I'm gone, I want you to be her father. The request hung in the air between them. Enormous, terrifying, and absolutely necessary. Victor looked at the woman he'd once loved desperately, now facing the ultimate sacrifice of any parent, letting go of their child to ensure their survival. She doesn't know, he said. It wasn't a question. She doesn't know, Sofia confirmed. To her, you're just the kind man who helped us when we needed it most. But Victor, she's been asking about her father her whole life. I've always told her he was a good man who couldn't be with us. I never lied to her about that. 3 weeks later, Victor found himself in an unfamiliar role, sitting on a playground bench, watching Lily play with other children while Sofia rested nearby on a blanket. The new medication had restored some of Sofia's strength, but the underlying truth of her condition cast a shadow over everything. Lily raced over to them, her face flushed with excitement. Victor, did you see me on the slides? I went really fast. I saw, Victor said, his heart tightening at how easily she'd begun including him in her world. You're very brave. Mama says brave people do scary things when they have to. Lily said seriously, like when I sold my toys to help her. That was scary, but it was the right thing to do. Sofia and Victor exchanged a glance over Lily's head. In the past 3 weeks, Victor had visited them daily, taking them to doctor's appointments, bringing groceries, and slowly becoming a fixture in Lily's life. But they hadn't told her the truth yet. Lily, Sofia said gently, come, sit with us for a minute. We want to talk to you about something important. Lily plopped down between them, her small face attentive. Are you feeling worse, Mama? Because the doctor said the medicine was helping. The medicine is helping, Sofia assured her. But Lily, remember how you've always asked about your daddy? Lily's eyes widened, darting between her mother and Victor. Yes, well, sweetheart, Sofia continued, her voice trembling. Victor isn't just a friend who's helping us. He's your father. The silence that followed seemed to stretch forever. Lily stared at Victor with wide, unblinking eyes, processing information that would reshape her entire understanding of her world. You're my daddy, she whispered finally. Victor knelt to her level, his own eyes filling with tears. Yes, Lily, I'm your daddy. And I know this is confusing and maybe scary. But I want you to know that finding out about you has been the most wonderful thing that's ever happened to me. Lily's lower lip trembled. But where were you? Why didn't you come before? The question every parent dreads. How do you explain adult complexities to a child's heart? Victor looked to Sofia for guidance, but this was his truth to tell. I didn't know about you, sweetheart. He said honestly. Your mama and I knew each other a long time ago, before you were born. But there was an accident, and we lost touch with each other. I've been searching for both of you without even knowing it. Lily turned to her mother. Is that why you were always sad sometimes? Because you missed him? Sophia's tears came freely now. Yes, baby. I missed him very much. But I was never sad about having you. You've been the light of my life every single day. Lily stood quietly for a moment, her 7-year-old mind grappling with concepts that would challenge most adults. Then, with the pure acceptance only children possess, she walked over to Victor and climbed into his lap. I always wanted a daddy, she said simply. I'm glad it's you. As Victor held his daughter for the first time as her acknowledged father, Sofia watched with bittersweet joy. The hardest part of her truth was still to come, telling Lily about the cancer, about the limited time they had left together. But for this moment, in the golden afternoon light of the playground, her daughter finally had what she'd always wanted. A complete family, even if it had come just in time for goodbye. Victor Hamilton had led boardrooms filled with formidable executives, secured multi-million-dollar contracts under intense pressure, and built an empire from scratch. But sitting on the floor of Lily's tiny bedroom, attempting to braid her hair for school, he felt more challenged than ever in his corporate life. Ouch! Daddy! You're pulling too hard! Lily giggled, the word daddy still sending waves of emotion through Victor every time she said it. Sorry, sweetheart, Victor said, his large hands fumbling with the small elastic band. Your mama makes this look so simple. Mama's been doing it forever, Lily said matter-of-factly. But you're getting better. Yesterday, you got both sides even. In the 3 weeks since the playground revelation, Victor had thrown himself into fatherhood with the same intensity he brought to everything else. He'd rearranged his schedule, delegating more duties to his vice presidents, so he could spend mornings with Lily before school and evenings helping with homework. There, he said, stepping back to admire his work. The braids were slightly uneven, but Lily beamed at herself in the small mirror above her dresser. Perfect, she declared, then turned serious. Daddy, is Mama going to get better soon? She seems more tired lately. Victor's heart clenched. Sofia had been declining faster than the doctors initially predicted. The cancer was aggressive, and despite the best treatment money could buy, her body was losing the battle. They hadn't told Lily the full truth yet, that her mother was dying, not just sick. Your mama is fighting very hard, Victor said carefully. The medicine is helping, but her body needs time to grow stronger. Lily nodded solemnly, then brightened. Maybe we should make her favorite muffins for breakfast. She always smiles when we bake together. As they headed to the kitchen, Victor marveled at his daughter's resilience. Lily had adapted to having him in her life with an openness that amazed him. She'd started calling him Daddy naturally, included him in her bedtime prayers, and had even drawn a picture of their family, 3 stick figures holding hands, under a rainbow. But there was still so much Victor didn't know about being a father to a 7-year-old. He'd missed Lily's first words, her first steps, her first day of school. With Amelia, his relationship had been complicated by the divorce, reduced to scheduled visits and awkward phone calls. This was his chance to do it right. Daddy, you're thinking really hard again, Lily observed as she climbed onto a chair to reach the muffin mix. Mama says when grown-ups think too hard, they forget to be happy. Your mama is very wise, Victor said, lifting Lily so she could pour ingredients into the bowl. "What do you think about when you're happy?" "I think about you and Mama and me being a family," Lily said simply. "And I think about how lucky I am that you found us." The innocence of her words broke Victor's heart. Lily had no idea their time as a complete family was measured in weeks, not years. She didn't know that soon, very soon, she would lose the person who'd been her entire world for 7 years. "Lily," Victor said quietly, "what would you think about meeting your sister?" Lily's eyes widened with excitement. "I have a sister? A real sister?" "Her name is Amelia, and she's 10 years old. She lives far away with her mama, but I thought maybe she could come visit us." The truth was, Victor had been struggling with how to tell Amelia about Lily. His relationship with his older daughter was already strained, and introducing a half-sister, especially under these circumstances, felt like navigating a minefield. "I would love to meet her," Lily exclaimed. "Does she like muffins? Does she know about me?" "She will soon," Victor promised, though the conversation he needed to have with Amelia's mother, his ex-wife Laura, would be one of the most difficult of his life. As they baked, together, Sofia appeared in the doorway, wearing the soft smile that had first captured Victor's heart 20 years ago. But now that smile was shadowed by exhaustion and pain she tried hard to hide. "Something smells wonderful," she said, accepting the chair Victor quickly pulled out for her. "Daddy made muffins," Lily announced proudly. "Well, we made them together. He's getting really good at baking." Sofia caught Victor's eye over Lily's head, and in that look was gratitude, love, and a desperate hope that he would be enough for Lily when she was gone. The weight of that responsibility should have terrified him, but instead, it filled him with a fierce determination he'd never felt before. He was going to learn to be the father Lily deserved, and he was going to do it fast enough to prove to Sofia that her daughter would be loved and protected always. But first, he had to tell Amelia that her world was about to change completely. The video call with Amelia and Laura was scheduled for that evening. After Lily had gone to bed, Victor paced his penthouse apartment, rehearsing how to explain a situation that defied simple explanation. How do you tell your 10-year-old daughter that she has a sister she's never met, born from a relationship that predated her parents' marriage? Laura's face appeared on the screen first. Her perfectly styled blonde hair and sharp business suit a stark contrast to the warm, chaotic environment of Sofia and Lily's small apartment. Behind her, Amelia bounced into view, her dark hair, so like Victor's, pulled back in a neat ponytail. "Hi, Daddy," Amelia said brightly, though Victor noticed the slight distance in her voice that had developed over the past year. Since the divorce 3 years ago, their relationship had become increasingly formal, shaped by scheduled calls and holiday visits. "Hello, sweetheart." "Laura." Victor nodded to his ex-wife, who studied him with the keen intelligence that had once drawn him to her. "You look different, Victor," Laura observed, less corporate. "What's this urgent matter you needed to discuss?" Victor took a deep breath. "Amelia, what I'm about to tell you might be surprising, but I want you to know that it doesn't change how much I love you." Amelia's expression grew wary. "Are you getting married again?" "No, sweetheart, but I've recently discovered that you have a sister. A younger sister named Lily." The silence that followed was deafening. Layla's face had gone completely still, while Amelia looked confused. "I don't understand," Amelia said slowly. "How can I have a sister?" Victor launched into the story, the carefully edited version appropriate for a 10-year-old. He explained about Sofia, about the accident, about not knowing Lily existed until recently. He watched Amelia's face carefully, seeing confusion give way to hurt, then to something that might have been excitement. "She's 7?" Amelia asked. "And she's been living here in Boston this whole time?" "Yes. And Amelia, she's wonderful. She's smart and brave and funny, and she's asked about meeting you." Laura finally spoke, her voice carefully controlled. "Victor, this is quite a bombshell. A secret daughter. How do we even know this child is yours? Laura, Victor said firmly. I know. But Amelia was focused on something else entirely. Is she why you've been canceling our calls lately? Because you're too busy with your new daughter? The hurt in Amelia's voice cut Victor to the core. He realized that in his excitement about discovering Lily, he'd inadvertently neglected Amelia, confirming her fears that she was being replaced. Amelia? No, he said. You are my daughter, and nothing will ever change that. Lily doesn't replace you. She's an addition to our family, not a replacement for anyone. But she gets to see you every day, Amelia said, tears starting to flow. She gets to have breakfast with you and do homework with you and all the things I wish I could do. Victor felt his heart breaking. In trying to make up for lost time with Lily, he'd unintentionally hurt Amelia. Sweetheart, I want you to come visit. I want you to meet Lily. And I want us to figure out how to be a family together. What about Lily's mother? Laura asked sharply. Where does she fit into this picture? Victor hesitated. He hadn't planned to share Sofia's diagnosis, but the question demanded honesty. Sofia is very sick. She's dying. The words hung heavy in the digital space between them. Amelia's anger immediately transformed into something softer, more complicated. Lily's mommy is dying, Amelia whispered. That's so sad. It is sad, Victor agreed, which is why it's important for Lily to have family around her. Real family. Laura's expression had shifted too. Despite their difficult divorce, she wasn't heartless. How long does she have? The doctors say a few months at most. Amelia was quiet for a long moment, processing information that would challenge most adults. Finally, she looked up at the camera with determination that reminded Victor powerfully of himself. I want to meet her, Amelia said firmly. Lily, I want to meet my sister. Amelia. Laura started, but Amelia cut her off. Mom, she's going to lose her mommy. She needs family. And I've always wanted a sister. Victor felt pride swell in his chest. Despite her hurt feelings, Amelia's first instinct was compassion for a sister she'd never met. We'll arrange a visit, Laura said quietly. Soon. After they ended the call, Victor sat in his empty penthouse, thinking about how dramatically his life had changed in just a few weeks. Soon, he would have both his daughters together for the first time. He only hoped that Lily would still have her mother to witness it. Amelia's arrival in Boston was orchestrated with meticulous care. Laura had insisted on accompanying her, and Victor had reserved a suite at the Ritz-Carlton, uncertain how long the visit might last, or how well the introduction would go. Lily had been beside herself with excitement for days, changing her outfit 3 times that morning and asking Victor repeatedly if he thought Amelia would like her. What if she thinks I'm too little? Lily worried as they waited in the hotel lobby. What if she doesn't want to be my sister? Lily, Victor said, kneeling to her level. Amelia is going to love you because you're lovable. Just be yourself. When the elevator doors opened and Amelia stepped out, flanked by Laura and a pile of designer luggage, Lily literally bounced on her toes. Amelia, for her part, stopped dead and stared at the little girl who was unmistakably her half-sister. The family resemblance was striking. Both girls had Victor's dark hair and strong chin, though Lily's eyes were Sofia's warm brown, while Amelia had inherited Laura's green eyes. But there was something deeper. A shared way of tilting their heads when curious, a similar, stubborn set to their shoulders. Hi, Lily said shyly, suddenly overcome with nerves. I'm Lily. I'm Amelia, the older girl replied, equally uncertain. The adults watched tensely as the two sisters sized each other up. Then Lily, with the fearless heart that had driven her to sell toys on corporate steps, stepped forward and hugged Amelia tightly. I'm so happy you're here, Lily said into Amelia's shoulder. I've never had a sister before. Amelia stood frozen for a moment, then slowly hugged Lily back. Me either. Laura introduced herself to Sofia with cool politeness, but Victor noticed how her expression softened when she saw how frail Sofia had become. Whatever Laura's feelings about the situation, she wasn't cruel enough to add to a dying woman's suffering. Lily's been so excited to meet Amelia, Sofia said warmly. She's been planning activities for weeks. Can I show you my room? Lily asked Amelia eagerly. It's small, but I have really good books, and Daddy got me new art supplies. As the girls disappeared into Lily's bedroom, their voices already becoming animated, the adults settled in the small living room. She's lovely, Laura said quietly to Sofia. Lily, she's absolutely lovely. Thank you, Sofia replied. Amelia seems wonderful too. Lily's been nervous about being too young, but I think they're going to be great friends. Sofia, Laura said, her voice gentler than Victor had heard in years. Victor told us about your diagnosis. I'm so sorry. Sofia nodded, tears threatening. It's been hard to accept, but seeing Lily with Victor, knowing she'll have him, and now Amelia, it makes it easier. From the bedroom came the sound of laughter. Genuine, delighted laughter from both girls. Lily was showing Amelia her art projects, while Amelia was teaching Lily about her favorite books. Daddy, Lily called out. Amelia reads at a really high level. Can she read me a story? Of course, Victor called back, exchanging amused looks with the other adults. She's going to be okay, Laura said quietly to Victor. Lily, when the time comes, she's going to be okay because she'll have us. All of us. The generosity of the statement surprised Victor. Laura had every right to resent this complication to their carefully structured post-divorce life, but instead, she was offering support. Thank you, he said simply. Lily, Amelia's voice carried from the bedroom. You have to meet my friend Sofia when we go back to California. She's going to love you. Sofia and Victor exchanged a look. Amelia was already planning future visits, already incorporating Lily into her world. The bond between the sisters was forming faster than anyone had dared hope. Mom? Amelia appeared in the doorway, her formal demeanor completely gone, replaced by typical 10-year-old excitement. Can Lily come visit us in California? Our house has a pool, and there's this really good ice cream place. Slow down, Laura laughed. We'll figure out visits. But right now, why don't you show Lily the presents you brought her? Amelia had arrived with a suitcase full of gifts for Lily. Books, art supplies, clothes, and a beautiful diary with a lock and key. This is for writing down your secrets, Amelia explained seriously. Every girl needs a diary for secrets. As Lily examined each gift with wonder, Amelia suddenly looked at her father with an expression beyond her years. Daddy, I understand now why you've been different. Lily needs you more than I do right now. The maturity of the statement stunned Victor. Amelia, you both need me, he said. I know, Amelia said, but she doesn't have another parent. When her mommy... She trailed off, not wanting to say the words in front of Lily. When that time comes, Victor said carefully, we'll all take care of each other. That's what families do. That evening, as both girls slept in Lily's bed, Amelia having insisted on a sleepover, Victor reflected on how completely his understanding of family had transformed. A month ago, he'd been a successful but emotionally distant man with limited contact with his only child. Now, he was planning for a future where he'd be the primary parent to a grieving 7-year-old while maintaining a strengthened relationship with his 10-year-old daughter. It should have been overwhelming. Instead, for the first time in years, Victor felt like he was exactly where he belonged. 2 weeks after Amelia returned to California, Sofia collapsed while making Lily's breakfast. The ambulance ride to the hospital was a blur of sirens and Lily's frightened tears as Victor held her in the back of his car. Following the paramedics, Is Mama going to die? Lily asked, her small voice barely audible over the chaos. Victor had dreaded this question, but Sofia's collapse had forced the conversation they'd been avoiding. Sweetheart, your mama is very, very sick, he said. The doctors are going to do everything they can to help her. But is she going to die? Lily pressed, her 7-year-old intuition cutting through adult evasions. Victor pulled Lily closer, his heart breaking. Yes, baby. Your mama is going to die. I'm so sorry. Lily's wail of anguish echoed through the car, a sound that would haunt Victor for the rest of his life. She sobbed against his chest as he whispered promises that he would never leave her, that she would always be loved, that her mama would always be with her in her heart. At the hospital, Dr. Emily Wong, Sofia's oncologist, pulled Victor aside while Lily sat with her unconscious mother. The cancer has spread faster than we anticipated, Dr. Wong said gently. We're looking at days, not weeks. Victor felt the world tilt beneath his feet. Days? But she was doing better. The treatment was working. Sometimes there's a rallying period before the final decline, Dr. Wong explained. I'm sorry, Mr. Hamilton. We can make her comfortable, but there's nothing more we can do medically. Victor stared through the glass at Lily, who was holding Sofia's hand and talking to her in whispers, telling her about Amelia's visit and the diary and all the plans they'd made. There's something else, Dr. Wong continued. Ms. Martinez has been asking to speak with you privately. She's conscious, but weak. I think she needs to tell you something important. Victor entered the room quietly. Lily looked up with red-rimmed eyes. Daddy, Mama won't wake up all the way. She only opens her eyes a little bit. Why don't you go get some juice from the vending machine with Nurse Patricia? Victor suggested gently. I need to talk to Mama for a few minutes. Once Lily was gone, Sofia's eyes fluttered open more fully. Her voice was barely a whisper. Victor, I'm here, he said, taking her hand. I'm right here. There's something I never told you about the accident, Sofia said. Her breathing labored, each word an effort. Sofia, you don't need to. Yes, I do. Her grip on his hand tightened with surprising strength. The accident. It wasn't an accident. Victor felt ice form in his veins. What do you mean? My stepfather, he found out about us, about the pregnancy. He was enraged that I was involved with a Hamilton, said it would ruin the family's reputation if anyone found out his stepdaughter was pregnant by the town's golden boy. Victor's mind reeled. Sofia's stepfather, James Carter, had been a prominent city councilman, obsessed with social standing and political connections. He arranged the accident. Sofia continued, her voice growing weaker. Tampered with the brakes on my father's car. He wanted to scare me, make me lose the baby. He never meant for everyone to die. Just to end the pregnancy. My God, Sofia. Victor breathed. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because he's still alive, Victor. He's still powerful. And if anything happened to me, if the truth came out. She struggled to sit up slightly. Promise me you'll protect Lily from him. Promise me you won't let him near her. The revelation hit Victor like a physical blow. James Carter, now serving his 4th term as mayor, had murdered Sofia's family and stolen 20 years from all of them. The man had attended Victor's wedding, shaken his hand at charity events, smiled, and made pleasant conversation while harboring a monstrous secret. I promise, Victor said fiercely. I swear to you, Sofia, I will protect her. There's evidence, Sofia whispered. In my jewelry box, there's a safety deposit box key, bank documents, recordings. I've been gathering proof for years, waiting. For the right time. Evidence of what? Everything. The accident, the cover-up, the bribes he paid to keep people quiet. I was going to expose him when Lily turned 18, when she was old enough to handle the truth. Sofia's eyes were closing again, exhaustion overtaking her. But now it's up to you. When the time is right, when Lily is safe, make him pay for what he took from us. As Sofia slipped back into unconsciousness, Victor sat in stunned silence. The man responsible for destroying their lives was walking free, living in luxury, wielding power over the very city where Lily now lived. For the first time since discovering Lily on his building steps, Victor felt something other than love and determination. He felt rage. Sofia lingered for 5 more days, drifting in and out of consciousness while Lily rarely left her bedside. Victor had moved them to a private room and arranged for round-the-clock nursing care. But there was little left to do except wait and say goodbye. Amelia and Laura had flown back immediately upon hearing the news. Despite their complex history, Laura understood that Lily was about to lose her mother, and no child should face that alone. "Lily," Amelia said softly, sitting beside her sister's chair, "would you like me to braid your hair the way Mama taught you?" Lily nodded wordlessly. Her tears had stopped flowing 2 days ago, replaced by a solemn acceptance that broke the adults' hearts. She seemed to understand that these were her final moments with the person who had been her entire world. "Mama," Lily whispered, holding Sofia's hand, "I want you to know that I'll take really good care of Daddy, and I'll write in the diary Amelia gave me every day, so I can tell you about everything that happens." Sofia's eyes fluttered open slightly, focusing on Lily's face with tremendous effort. "My beautiful girl," she managed to whisper. You are the best thing I ever did. I love you, Mama. I love you so much. I love you too, baby. Always and always." Sofia's gaze shifted to Victor, who was standing at the foot of the bed with tears streaming down his face. "Take care of our daughter," she whispered. "Give her everything." "I will," Victor promised. "I swear I will tell her about us when she's older. Tell her we were happy once." "I will." Sofia's breathing became more labored as the day wore on. Dr. Wong had explained that the end would likely come quickly once her body began shutting down. Amelia held Lily while Laura sat quietly in the corner, and Victor maintained his vigil beside Sofia's bed. As the sun began to set, casting golden light through the hospital room windows, Sofia opened her eyes one last time. "Lily!" she called, softly. Lily was immediately beside her, taking her mother's hand. "I'm here, Mama. Remember what I always told you about the stars?" Lily nodded through her tears. "That each star is someone who loves us, watching over us from heaven. I'm going to be the brightest star you've ever seen. Every night, look up and find me. I'll be there. Promise. Promise." Sofia's breathing slowed, became peaceful. Her eyes remained fixed on Lily's face, full of love and desperate memorization, as if trying to carry her daughter's image with her into whatever came next. "I see your daddy's eyes," Sofia whispered with her final breath. "So beautiful, both of you. So beautiful." The silence that followed was profound. Lily sat holding her mother's still hand, staring at her peaceful face as if waiting for her to wake up. "She's gone," Lily said finally, her voice small and lost. "My mama's gone." Victor gathered Lily into his arms, and this time when she cried, it was with the raw, devastating grief of a child who suddenly understood what forever meant. Amelia cried too, for the sister she was only beginning to know, and for the mother Lily would have to live without. As the hospital staff quietly took care of necessary arrangements, Victor held both his daughters and made a silent vow to Sofia. He would give Lily everything: love, security, family, and, when the time was right, justice for the man who had stolen their chance at happiness 20 years ago. But tonight, he would simply hold his daughters and help them navigate their first night in a world without Sofia Martinez. 6 months later, the morning sun streamed through the windows of Victor's penthouse apartment, now transformed to accommodate his expanded family. Lily's artwork covered one entire wall of the living room, while Amelia's academic awards and Lily's school projects shared space on the refrigerator. The sterile corporate atmosphere that had once defined Victor's home had been replaced by the beautiful chaos of family life. Lily sat at the kitchen island, carefully writing in the diary Amelia had given her, her tongue peeking out in concentration as she formed each letter. At 8 years old now, she had grown taller and stronger, but the shadows of grief still lingered in her dark eyes. "Dear Mama," she wrote in her careful script, "today is the day Daddy says we're going to make the bad man pay for what he did to you. I'm scared, but Daddy says being brave means doing what's right, even when you're scared. Amelia is here to help us be brave too." Victor watched his daughter write, his heart both breaking and swelling with pride. The past 6 months had been the most challenging of his life, helping Lily navigate her grief while simultaneously investigating Sofia's claims about Mayor James Carter. The evidence Sofia had hidden away had proven to be a treasure trove of documentation spanning 20 years. Phone recordings, bank statements, showing suspicious transactions, and, most damning of all, a deathbed confession from the mechanic who had been paid to tamper with the Martinez family car. Sofia had been methodical in her pursuit of justice, even as cancer consumed her body. "Daddy," Lily said, looking up from her diary, "are you sure we have enough proof to make the judge believe us?" Victor knelt beside his daughter, struck once again by her incredible maturity. She understood far more about their situation than most 8-year-olds could comprehend. But life had forced Lily to grow up faster than any child should. "We have more than enough proof, sweetheart. Your mama was very smart and very careful. She made sure we would be able to show everyone the truth." The doorbell rang, and Amelia rushed to answer it. Laura entered, followed by a woman Victor had come to respect deeply over the past months. District Attorney Rachel Thompson, a no-nonsense prosecutor who had taken Sofia's case personally when Victor first brought her the evidence. "Are you ready for this?" Rachel asked Victor quietly while the girls played nearby. "Carter's lawyers are going to fight dirty. They'll try to discredit Sofia's evidence, claim it was fabricated by a bitter woman seeking revenge. Let them try," Victor said firmly. "We have the mechanic's signed confession, bank records showing payments from Carter's personal accounts, and security footage from the garage where the tampering took place. Sofia spent 20 years building an airtight case. What about Lily? Are you sure you want her to testify?" Victor looked at his daughter, who was showing Amelia something in her diary. "She wants to. She says her mama would want people to know the truth." Lily had insisted on testifying, despite the trauma it might cause. She wanted to tell the world about her mama's courage, about the 20 years they'd lost, about the family that had been stolen from them. Amelia walked over to them, her expression serious beyond her 10 years. "Daddy, I've been thinking about what happens after today." "What do you mean, sweetheart? After the bad man goes to jail, what happens to our family? Do Lily and I still get to be sisters even though her mama isn't here anymore?" Laura answered, before Victor could speak. "Amelia, Lily is your sister forever. Nothing will ever change that. In fact," she looked at Victor, who nodded encouragingly, "your father and I have been talking, and we think it would be good for both you girls if Lily spent part of her summers in California with us." Amelia's face lit up with pure joy. "Really, Lily? Did you hear that? You can come swimming in our pool and meet all my friends, and we can have sleepovers every night." Lily smiled, the first genuine smile Victor had seen from her in weeks. "I would like that very much." 3 hours later, they sat in the imposing courtroom where James Carter's fate would be decided. The mayor sat at the defendant's table, his silver hair perfectly styled, his expensive suit impeccable, but his face drawn with the stress of having his carefully constructed world crumbling around him. For 20 years, Carter had believed his secret was safe. Sofia Martinez was supposed to have died in that car accident, taking her unborn child and any evidence of his involvement with her. He'd covered his tracks, paid off the few people who knew the truth, and built a political career on the foundation of murdered innocence. But Sofia had survived, had remembered, and had spent 2 decades methodically building the case that would destroy him. Victor held Lily's hand as she prepared to take the stand. She wore a simple blue dress that Amelia had picked out for her, and her hair was braided the way Sofia used to do it. Despite her youth, Lily carried herself with a dignity that impressed everyone in the courtroom. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Prosecutor Rachel Thompson began her opening statement. This case is about a man who committed murder to protect his political ambitions, and about a brave woman who spent her dying years ensuring that justice would eventually prevail. Lily's testimony was heartbreaking in its simplicity. She spoke about her mama's strength, about the stories Sofia had told her about the accident, about finding the hidden evidence after Sofia's death. My mama said that bad people sometimes do terrible things, but good people never stop fighting for what's right. Lily said clearly, her small voice carrying across the silent courtroom. She said that telling the truth is always the right thing to do, even when it's scary. Carter's defense attorney tried to discredit an 8-year-old's testimony, but Lily's honesty and composure made his efforts appear cruel and desperate. The mechanical expert testified about the tampered brakes. The bank examiner explained the suspicious financial transactions. Former city employees came forward with stories of Carter's threats and bribes, their silence finally broken by Sofia's courage. But the most damning evidence came from an unexpected source. Your Honor, Rachel Thompson announced, the prosecution calls James Carter Jr. to the stand. A gasp went through the courtroom as Carter's own son, now a respected judge in a neighboring county, walked to the witness stand. The elder Carter's face went completely white. Jimmy, he whispered, staring at his son in horror. Judge James Carter Jr. had lived with his father's secret for 20 years, had watched the man he'd once idolized build a career on the graves of innocent people. When Victor had approached, came with Sofia's evidence, the younger Carter had finally found the courage to speak. My father came home the night of the Martinez accident, covered in grease and acting strangely, he testified, his voice steady despite the tears in his eyes. When news of the accident broke the next morning, he said something I've never forgotten. Sometimes you have to eliminate problems before they eliminate you. And did you understand what he meant by that? Not at the time. I was only 16. But as I got older, especially when I learned about Sofia Martinez's pregnancy, the pieces started falling into place. The elder Carter stared at his son with a mixture of betrayal and devastation. Jimmy, how could you? How could I? The younger Carter replied, his composure finally cracking. Dad, you killed an entire family. You robbed Victor Hamilton of 20 years with his daughter. You left a pregnant woman to believe she was alone in the world. How could I stay silent? The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. When they returned, the foreman stood with a gravity that filled the courtroom. On the charge of first-degree murder in the deaths of Carlos Martinez, Isabella Martinez, and Michael Martinez, we find the defendant guilty. On the charge of attempted murder in the case of Sofia Martinez, we find the defendant guilty. On the charges of conspiracy, bribery, and obstruction of justice, we find the defendant guilty on all counts. Lily squeezed Victor's hand as Carter was led away in handcuffs. His political career and freedom ended by the courage of a woman he'd tried to kill 20 years ago. Is it over, Daddy? Lily asked quietly. It's over, sweetheart. Your mama got her justice. 3 years later, Lily's 11th birthday party was held in the backyard of Victor's new house. A warm, welcoming home in a family-friendly neighborhood, far different from the sterile penthouse where he'd once lived alone. Amelia, now 13 and visiting for the summer, had spent weeks planning every detail of the celebration. Lily, come make a wish, Amelia called, standing beside an elaborate birthday cake decorated with stars. A tradition they'd started in honor of Sofia's promise to watch over Lily from the heavens. Lily, now tall for her age with her hair grown, long like her mama's had been, closed her eyes and made her wish. When she opened them, she was surrounded by friends from school. neighbors who'd become like family, and the two people who meant everything to her, her father and her sister. Victor watched his daughters laughing together and felt the profound contentment that had eluded him for most of his adult life. Lily had not just survived her mother's death, she had thrived. She was an honor student, a talented artist, and, most importantly, a happy child who remembered her mother with love rather than just grief. "What did you wish for?" Amelia asked as Lily blew out her candles. "I can't tell you, or it won't come true," Lily said with a grin. "But I will say that I think Mama would be happy with how everything turned out." That evening, after the guests had gone home and Amelia had fallen asleep, Victor found Lily sitting on the porch swing, writing in a new diary. She'd filled 7 books since that first one Amelia had given her. "Writing to Mama?" he asked, settling beside her. "Yes, I tell her about everything. School, friends, you and Amelia, how we're doing." Lily looked up at the star-filled sky. "I still talk to her sometimes. Is that silly? Not at all. I think she's listening. Daddy, can I ask you something? Anything. Were you and Mama really happy once, before everything bad happened?" Victor smiled, thinking of the young woman with dancing eyes who'd stolen his heart 2 decades ago. "Oh, Shaw, we were very happy, Lily. Your Mama was the most wonderful person I'd ever met. She was kind and smart and funny, and she had the most beautiful laugh. I remember her laugh," Lily said softly. "Sometimes I dream about it. She loved you more than anything in the world, sweetheart. Everything she did, especially gathering that evidence against Carter, she did to protect you and make sure you'd be safe." Lily nodded, then surprised Victor with her next question. "Do you think you'll ever get married again?" Victor had been dating Dr. Emily Wong, Sofia's former oncologist, for the past year. Emily understood grief and healing in ways that had helped both Victor and Lily process their loss. The relationship was progressing slowly, carefully, with Lily's emotional needs always the primary consideration. "Would that bother you if I did?" Victor asked carefully. "I don't think so," Lily said thoughtfully. "Dr. Emily is really nice, and she knew Mama. She says Mama would want us to be happy. She's right about that. Plus, Amelia says every family needs a mom figure, and Dr. Emily teaches me about science stuff that Mama didn't know." Victor laughed at his daughter's practical approach to his romantic life. "Is that your official approval?" "That's my official approval," Lily confirmed with a grin. 6 months later, Victor and Emily were married in a small ceremony in the backyard of their home, surrounded by close friends and family. Lily served as Emily's maid of honor, while Amelia was Victor's best woman, a role she took very seriously. During the ceremony, Lily read a poem she'd written about families being like constellations, different stars coming together to make something beautiful in the darkness. There wasn't a dry eye in the gathering. "Mama," Lily whispered, looking up at the afternoon sky, "I hope you like our new family. Dr. Emily, says she's not trying to replace you, just add to the love we already have." After the ceremony, as guests celebrated and the girls danced with their friends, Victor found a quiet moment with his new wife. "Any regrets?" Emily asked, adjusting his tie with the easy intimacy they'd developed. "Only one," Victor said, pulling her close. "I regret that Sofia couldn't be here to see this. She would have loved you." "She is here," Emily said simply. "In Lily's smile, in Amelia's protective instincts, in the man you've become. Sofia's love is woven into every part of this family." 5 years later, Lily's sweet 16. Lily's 16th birthday fell on a Saturday, and the house was full of teenagers celebrating with music, laughter, and enough food to feed a small army. Amelia, now a college sophomore studying journalism, had come home specifically for the party. Lily had grown into a beautiful young woman who combined Sofia's warmth with Victor's determination. She was student body president at her high school, captain of the art club, and had already been accepted to several prestigious colleges with full scholarships. But more than her achievements, Lily had developed into someone with deep empathy and unshakable integrity, qualities that would have made Sofia incredibly proud. "Lily," Victor said, pulling her aside during the party, "I have something special for you." He handed her an envelope that contained 2 items: the deed to a community center that had just been completed in Sofia's name, and the keys to Sofia's safety deposit box, which had contained not just evidence against Carter, but also letters Sofia had written to Lily for each of her birthdays through age 18. "The community center?" Lily asked, tears in her eyes as she read the dedication plaque. "Plans. It's yours to run however you think your mother would want. The board of directors has already approved you for a position when you turn 18. And these letters, your mama wrote them while she was sick, planning for birthdays she knew she wouldn't be here for. She made me promise to give them to you when you were old enough to understand them fully." Lily clutched the letters to her chest, overwhelmed by her mother's foresight and love. Even in death, Sofia was still taking care of her daughter. "There's more," Victor continued. "James Carter died in prison last week. Natural causes. The man who took so much from our family is finally gone." Lily was quiet for a long moment, processing this news. "I don't feel happy about it," she said finally. "I feel peaceful, like a chapter is finally closed." "That's exactly how I feel. Daddy, can I ask you something that's been on my mind always? What would have happened if I hadn't gone to sell my toys that day? If I hadn't been brave enough to sit on those steps?" Victor considered the question seriously. "I think we would have found each other eventually. Love that strong doesn't stay hidden forever. But I'm grateful we found each other when we did, because every day with you has been a gift." That night, after the party guests had gone home, Lily sat in her room reading Sofia's letters. Each one was dated for a specific birthday, filled with advice, encouragement, and the kind of maternal wisdom that transcends death. The letter for her 16th birthday contained a passage that brought Lily to tears. "My beautiful Lily, if you're reading this, it means you've grown into the amazing young woman I always knew you'd become. I hope you know how proud I am, not just of your accomplishments, but of your kindness, your strength, and your ability to love deeply despite experiencing loss. You have your father's intelligence and determination, but you have something else, a light inside you that can't be dimmed by darkness. Use that light to help others, to fight for justice like we fought for justice, and to never let fear stop you from doing what's right. I know you probably wonder sometimes if I would approve of the choices you're making, the family you've built, the life you're living. Let me tell you with absolute certainty, I approve of everything that makes you happy and helps you grow into the person you're meant to be. Your father is a good man who loves you completely. Emily is a wonderful woman who will guide you through the things I can't. Amelia is the sister I always wanted you to have. Together, you're a family that would make any mother's heart sing with joy. Remember what I told you about the stars, my darling. I'm still the brightest one in your sky, and I always will be." Lily chose to attend Northeastern University, studying social work and nonprofit management. Her goal was to run the Sofia Martinez Community Center and eventually expand it into a network of support services for single mothers and their children. During her sophomore year, she started a scholarship fund for children who had lost parents to violence or injustice. The fund was supported by Hamilton Enterprises and had already helped dozens of kids attend college. Amelia, now a successful, investigative journalist, often wrote about social justice issues, carrying forward the mission for truth that had defined their family's journey. Victor, at 62, had scaled back his involvement in day-to-day business operations to focus on philanthropy and spending time with his family. He and Emily had been talking about adoption, wanting to give another child the kind of love and opportunity that had transformed Lily's life. On the 10th anniversary of Sofia's death, the entire family gathered at her gravesite. Lily, now 21 and about to graduate college, had organized a memorial service that honored not just Sofia's memory, but all the families affected by violence and injustice. 10 years ago, Lily spoke to the gathered crowd. My mother died believing that love and truth would eventually triumph over evil. Today, I'm here to tell you that she was right. She spoke about the community center, about the families they'd helped, about the scholarship recipients who were now doctors, teachers, and social workers themselves. My mother taught me that we're all connected, that when we help one person, we help everyone. That when we fight for justice for one family, we fight for justice for all families. Victor watched his daughter speak with the same passion and conviction that had once driven Sofia, and he felt the profound satisfaction of knowing that their love story, interrupted by tragedy, complicated by secrets, and ultimately redeemed by truth, had created something beautiful and lasting. After the service, as they walked back to their cars, Lily slipped her hand into Victor's. "Daddy, do you ever wonder what Mama would think of who we've become?" Victor looked at his extraordinary daughter, confident, compassionate, and completely unbroken despite everything she'd endured, and smiled. "I think she'd say we turned out exactly the way she hoped we would." That night, Lily made one final entry in her childhood diary. "Dear Mama, today I realized that you never really left us. You're in every choice I make, every person I help, every time I choose love over fear. You're in Daddy's kindness, in Amelia's courage, in Emily's wisdom, and in the family we built from the pieces of our broken hearts. I'm not sad anymore when I think about you. I'm grateful. Grateful for the time we had. Grateful for the love you gave me. And grateful for the strength you taught me. You kept your promise about being the brightest star in my sky. But now I understand that the real light comes from carrying your love forward and sharing it with everyone I meet. I love you always and always. Your grateful daughter, Lily." Epilogue. 20 years later, Lily Hamilton Wong, she'd taken both her father's and stepmother's names when she married Emily's nephew Daniel, stood in the original Sofia Martinez Community Center, now expanded into a campus of buildings serving hundreds of families each year. At 31, she was the executive director of a national nonprofit organization, a published author, and the mother of 3-year-old twins. Victor, named for his grandfather, and Sofia, named for the grandmother who continued to inspire their family. Victor, now in his 70s but still vibrant, spent his days reading to children at the center and teaching them that love could overcome any obstacle. Amelia, a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, lived nearby with her own family and visited weekly, maintaining the sisterly bond that had sustained them through every challenge. Emily continued her medical practice, specializing in oncology and grief counseling, helping other families navigate the kind of loss the Hamiltons had experienced. The small apartment where Lily had once lived with Sofia had been converted into a memorial garden where families could come to remember their own lost loved ones and find hope in the beauty that could grow from the soil of sorrow. On the wall of Lily's office hung a photo from that first day when she'd sat on the steps of Hamilton Enterprises with her bag of toys, desperate to save her mother. Next to it was a photo from her wedding day, surrounded by all the people who had become her family. And above both photos, mounted in a place of honor, was the last letter Sofia had written, addressed not to Lily, but to Victor. My dearest Victor, if you're reading this, it means our daughter has grown up, and our story has come full circle. Thank you for loving her the way I knew you would. Thank you for giving her the family she deserved. Thank you for proving that love really can conquer all. Watch the stars with her sometimes, and remember that the three of us, you, me, and Lily, were always meant to be a family. It just took us a little longer to find our way to each other than most people do. All my love forever and always, Sofia. As Lily tucked her own children into bed that night, little Sofia asked her favorite question. Mama, tell us again about great-grandma Sofia and how she watched over everyone from the stars. And Lily smiled, looking out the window at the vast sky above, and began the story that had become their family's most treasured legacy. A story of love that transcended death, justice that never gave up, and the beautiful truth that sometimes the darkest moments lead us to the brightest light. Jui, end.